In the Columbia Heights neighborhood of Washington, D.C., a chill autumn wind sliced through the air, carrying the faint scent of rain. It was the kind of evening that made you want to pull your hoodie a little tighter, which is exactly what 15-year-old Alex Carter did. He had his earbuds in, a lo-fi symphony of beats drowning out the city's hum as he walked home from the metro station. Lost in thought, he mentally storyboarded a photography project for his digital arts class, seeing the world in apertures and shutter speeds. The way the setting sun ignited the edges of the brick row houses, the dance of headlights on the wet pavement from a recent shower, it was all material. Alex was a good kid, a straight-A student with a photography scholarship offer from Princeton on the table. He had a bright future, one he could almost taste. That future screeched to a halt when a Ford Police Interceptor lunged at the curb. Lights flared red and blue, scattering across brick walls. Two officers emerged. The older one, Officer Reynolds, wore a face carved by disdain. The younger, Davis, jittered with nervous energy. "Hands where I can see them," Reynolds barked. Alex tugged his earbuds out, confusion flashing. "Excuse me. You heard me. Now." Reynolds' hand hovered near his gun. Alex froze, replaying the rules drilled into him by his father. No sudden moves, explain everything, survive. Slowly, he raised his hands. "Okay, no problem. What's this about?" "Robbery, few blocks over," Reynolds said, circling. "Black male, late teens, hoodie jeans. Sound familiar?" Alex glanced at his own gray hoodie. "Officer, that could be anyone. I'm just walking home." Reynolds smirked. "Smart mouth, too. Kid, let's see some ID." "It's in my back pocket," Alex said evenly. "May I reach for it?" Slowly, as Alex reached, his hoodie lifted, showing the corner of his phone. "What's that?" Davis blurted. "My phone." Alex froze. "Just my phone. Hand on the wall," Reynolds ordered. Rough bricks scraped Alex's palms as anger coiled in his chest. He'd done nothing wrong. "You're making a mistake." "The mistake is your attitude," Reynolds growled, pressing closer. Alex steadied himself. "I do not consent to a search. You have no probable cause." The words hit like a spark. Reynolds shoved him hard against the wall. "Probable cause? I got all I need." His hands roamed Alex's pockets roughly. Alex tried to twist his head. "I want to record this." "I'm reaching for my phone." "He's going for something," Reynolds shouted. A white-hot fire exploded across Alex's face. Pepper spray seared his eyes and throat, dropping him to the pavement in a storm of agony. His screams echoed down the block as Reynolds cuffed him. At the precinct, Alex stumbled through booking. His eyes burned, his chest heaved, but worse was the charge Reynolds scrawled: resisting arrest and assaulting an officer. Davis stayed pale and silent, co-signing the lie. Sergeant Miller, mustache bristling, didn't even look up. "Save it for the judge, kid. You get one call." In the holding cell, fear pressed down like a weight. Alex wasn't a student anymore. He wasn't a scholarship candidate. He was a suspect, a statistic. But there was one card left to play. An hour later, a guard led him to the phone. His trembling fingers dialed a number he was told to use only in an emergency. IT rang once. "Carter." The voice was calm, commanding. "Dad." Alex broke, sobbing. "They arrested me. Pepper sprayed me." Julian Carter's tone shifted instantly. "Where?" "The 4th District Precinct." Alex explained everything in choking bursts. The stop, the shove, the spray, the false charges. Silence followed. Heavy. "Dangerous." "Alex," Julian finally said, his voice low and edged. "Say, and nothing else to anyone. Don't sign. Don't speak. I'm coming." Back in his office at the Bureau of Intelligence and Investigations, Director Julian Carter stood, his frame taut with a cold fury. A man used to commanding national security briefings, now moved with only one mission: his son. "Clear my schedule," he told his assistant. "Get the car." He made another call to his security detail. At the precinct, Reynolds finished his embellished report, chuckling with Davis. "These punks learn fast when you show 'em who's boss." Miller approached, pale. "Do you know who that kid's father is?" Reynolds shrugged. "Some Carter. He'll need a lawyer." Miller's voice dropped. "Julian Carter, director of BII." Before Reynolds could respond, the precinct doors opened. Two suited men swept in, eyes scanning the room. Behind them came Julian Carter. He didn't stride. He radiated authority, his presence silencing the room. Phone stopped ringing. Conversation died. Every officer recognized him from news briefings and congressional hearings. His eyes, cold as stone, locked onto the booking desk. "I am Julian Carter," he said, his voice low but carrying to every corner of the silent room. "I am here for my son." Reynolds and Davis froze, their mouths dry, their bodies locked in place. Reynolds felt dread crush his chest as he thought of the boy with the burned-out eyes sitting in a holding cell. He hadn't just pepper-sprayed some teenager. He had assaulted the son of the most powerful lawman in the country. And in the cold calm of Director Carter's eyes, Reynolds knew his career, maybe his life as he knew it, was finished. The arrival of Director Julian Carter at the 4th District Precinct was not an explosion, but an implosion. The station's noise collapsed into silence, every officer aware of the seismic weight that had just walked through the doors. Captain Davies, minutes from ending his shift, stumbled out of his office, tie crooked, face pale. "Director Carter," he stammered, offering a hand that Carter ignored. "You can start," Carter said evenly, "by releasing my son, Alex Carter, into my custody." Immediately, the restraint in his tone was more terrifying than any shout. "Of course, sir." "Right away," Davies sputtered, signaling frantically to Sergeant Miller. As Alex was retrieved, Carter's gaze turned to Reynolds and Davis, pinning them in place. His eyes dropped to the stitched name tag. "Officer Reynolds, was it you who arrested my son?" Reynolds swallowed, his bravado gone. "Sir, we were responding to a robbery call." The suspect matched the description of a black teenager in a hoodie. Carter cut in. He shifted his gaze to Davis. "And you concurred?" Davis only nodded, lips trembling. "I see," Carter said. 2 words, enough to end their futures. The holding cell door buzzed open. Alex stepped out, blinking, face raw and swollen. When he saw his father, standing like a storm at the eye of the precinct, the balance of power shifted. He ran to him, and Carter folded him in a fierce embrace. Not as the Bureau's director, but as a father. For a moment, Julian let the mask slip, holding his son as though anchoring him to the earth. Then his fury hardened into steel. "We're going home," he said quietly. He turned to Davies. "I expect a full and unredacted report, all body camera footage, and both officer service records on my desk by 7 a.m. It was not a request. "Yes, Director," Davies whispered. As Carter guided Alex past the booking desk, Alex's eyes met Reynolds. There was no gloating, no triumph, only exhaustion and sorrow. Reynolds dropped his gaze to the floor, unable to face the boy he had brutalized. The ride home unfolded in silence. The armored Suburban hummed along city streets, its interior a cocoon of tension. Alex leaned against the leather seat, eyes swollen shut. Beside him, Julian stared out at the blur of lights, his mind torn between father and director. The father in him longed for vengeance. He could destroy Reynolds and Davis with a single phone call, strip their badges, erase their lives. The temptation whispered darkly, but the director in him knew better. To unleash personal fury would betray everything he stood for. It would prove justice bent to power, that the system had favorites. His son's ordeal was not unique. It was systemic. If he made this about Alex alone, he would fail every boy without a father in power. Justice had to be forced to work. It had to be done by the book. At their home in Northern Virginia, Alex's mother, Dr. Ana Sanchez, met them at the door. One look at her son's face made her gasp. She pulled him into her arms, her tears falling against his hair. Alex let himself sink into her comfort, while Julian stood behind them, silent, a shadow of restrained fury. Later, in his study, Julian sat in darkness. He did not call the chief of police or the mayor. Instead, he picked up his secure line and dialed the attorney general. "Robert, it's Julian. I'm calling not as director, but as a father. My son was assaulted and wrongfully arrested tonight by 2 D.C. police officers." He paused, listening. "Yes, he will recover. But I want this handled by the book." I want the DOJ's Civil Rights Division overseeing the investigation. I recuse myself entirely. I'm trusting the process. Robert, do not let that trust be misplaced. It was not weakness. It was a weapon. By demanding the system work transparently, he forced sunlight onto the rot. He would not bury the case in shadows. He would ensure it became impossible to ignore. At dawn, the story detonated. A young press officer, desperate to control the scandal, tipped off the media. By 8 a.m., the headline blazed across every screen. FBI director's son pepper-sprayed, arrested by D.C. police in questionable stop. The nation ignited. Cable news anchors shouted. Editorials thundered. Hashtags trended by the millions. This was no longer just Alex's story. It was a reckoning. And in a quiet room in Virginia, Julian Carter stood by a window, watching the sunrise. His son still slept, his wife watching over him. For now, that was enough. Justice would come, not through vengeance, but through the very system that had tried to break his boy. Julian Carter would make sure of it.